Hi, this is Damien Marie Adhope, and I am an axiological atheist, which can simply be understood as a value theory or a value science atheist. And I'm going to talk to you today about something that I hear a lot. I hear some from atheists, mainly, I feel like. But it's that religion, in a sense, or gods, were started because of fear of lightning. And I feel that this is inaccurate to the evidence that we know about archaeologically and ethnographically. I hear some say that, it's the fear of lightning that caused or inspired religion. Well, it most likely did not, and it is not well represented in that kind of a way in the most ancient of religion forms like animism, which is at least 100,000 years old. And rather, things like lightning as being sacred or something seems to gain its importance around the time of agriculture, after paganism, which to me is around 12,000 years ago, relating to me specifically probably to the bull that was connected to the early goddess faiths, which were connected to the worship of cereal grains and believed to be goddesses. And it's presumed it's rain, thunder, lightning. The bull thus was worshipped. It was thought that it would help to fertilize the goddess. But to understand, to an animist, the spirit believer, the goal is to create a proper atmosphere so the spirits add their benefit and not their harm. All existence in an animist mindset is connected commonly, in a sense, but is lacking a strict kind of permanent dimensions or divisions between things seen as animate or inanimate, human or non-human. In other words, that these spirit, in their form of, say, a human, can then also be sometimes the form of an animal, or vice versa, or animals be nature, or animals be a clan, as it is kind of more for totemism. But this also relates to the elements of nature and how they were perceived. So it really was a different kind of a mindset of why. So these prescribed, in a sense, behaviors are, in a sense, to avoid discomfort to the spirits, to try to live in balance with things. Even having sometimes a fear of doing so. But to me, animists, in a sense, see themselves as a part of nature, in a sense, having to work in it. Not, to me, direct fear of nature itself. Not the way that sometimes we would see a fear of nature. Animists also don't generally view themselves as being helpless or passive victims of the world, nor do they hesitate in using almost any means that they need to provide protection as merely a way of relating effectively to the world. So let's talk a little bit about thunder and lightning and the folk tales and stories from Africa. And this is from thegatewayafrica.com. A long time ago, thunderbolts and lightning lived among the people on the earth. This is talking about African myths. Just so I'm reading these so people understand why I say that they didn't fear, because there's this perception, I feel like, somehow that people, even 100,000 years ago, that they were somehow, like the mind of a child. I would agree that they're ignorant in the fact that they don't know things, but to me, they're inquisitive. They're intelligent. Especially by 50,000 years, in the sense that modern humans, as we know them today, is this pretty much the same case going on. So I feel like sometimes, even though I think religion is nonsense, I think it's inaccurate to add things of what it could be that are just not true or not accurate to the facts. I'm not saying that lightning didn't play a part. I just want you to understand the part that it played was not this like, I'm scared, so I'll make it a god. Is not that's not how, in a sense, to me, religion started. So, anyways, go back to the African views of thunder and lightning. Thunder was a mother sheep, and lightning was her ram son. Neither one was very popular with the people. When somebody offered lightning, he would fly into a furious rage and began burning whatever he came across. This often included huts, corn bins, and even large trees. Sometimes he damaged crops in the farm with his fire, and occasionally he killed people who got in his way. As soon as thunder threw her son as soon as Thunder knew her son was behaving this way, she would raise her voice and shout at him as loudly as she could. And that was very loud indeed. Naturally, the neighbors are very upset. First, at the damage caused by the lightning, and then by the unbearable noise from the mother that always follows his outbursts. The villagers complained to the king on many occasions, until the last he set the two of them to live at the very edge of the village, and said that they must not come into the mix with people any more. However, this did no good, since lightning could still see people as they walked about the village streets, and so found it only too easy to continue picking quarrels with them. At least the king sent for them again. I have given you many chances to live a better life, he said, but I can see that it is useless. From now on, you must go away from our village and live in the wild brush. We do not want to see your face here again. Thunder and lightning had to obey the king, and to agree to abide to his ruling, so he left the village, and angry at its inhabitants. But still there was plenty of trouble in the store for the villagers. Since lightning was angry at being banished, that he now set fire to the whole brush, and since it was dry season, it was extremely unfortunate. The flames spread to the little farms of the people, and sometimes to their houses as well. So they were in despair again. They often heard the mother's mighty voice, calling after her son to order. But since it was always after the fact, it made little difference to his actions. The king called all his counselors together and asked them to advise him. And then after much debate, they hit on a plan. Why not banish thunder and lightning completely away from the earth and send them into the sky? And so the king proclaimed this order. Thunder and lightning were sent into the sky, where the people hoped they would not be able to do any more damage. Things did not work out quite that as well as they had hoped. However, for lightning still loses his temper from time to time and cannot resist sending fire down to the earth when he is angry. Then you can hear his mother also rebuking him in her loud rumbling voice. That was the African folk tales and stories relating to thunder and lightning. At least one of them. So here's thunder and lightning, folk tales and stories from China. This is by Edward Werner of 1922 at sacredtexts.com. The spirit of thunder, for whom Lao Tzu is often mistaken, and I probably pronounced that name wrong. I'm not good at pronouncing names. Is represented as ugly, black, winged demon with clawed feet, a monkey's head, an eagle's beak, who holds on to a steel chisel and another hand a spiritual hammer, which he beats numerous drums sung around him, thus producing a terrifying noise of thunder. According to Chinese reasoning, it is the sound of these drums, and not the lightning, which causes the death. Affairs in the underworld are managed by officials and ministers, very similar to what they thought those on earth. There's a saying, and I've heard in paganism that kind of relates to this, and a lot of paganism in general, as above, so below. I think it also has to do with stars. Yeah, the things that happen in the sky also are relating to what can happen on Earth or affect the Earth. This goes to notions of feng shui and I think other things like that that mention several kind of elements in Chinese mythology. Anyways, the first minister of thunder and storms. This is composed of a large number of officials, and principals ones are Lao Zhe, the ancestor of thunder, Li Kyung, the Duke of Thunder. Anyways, I'm not going to read all of them. With the Mother of Lightning, there's the other ones, the Court of Wind, the Mother of Rain. Anyways, these correspond also to the Buddhist auroras and the 5 class of sentient beings and the mightiest of all the demons. Also, titanic enemies of the devas, relating to also Hinduism or Vedic. Anyways, the temples to Lao Tzu are placed as center, with the 4 rights, other things, the elements to the left. There are sometimes representations of other gods, such as rain, and these. Anyways, I'm going to move on to that's the Chinese folk tales, stories, and myths. Anyways, a little bit for lightning. Trying to show you that to me, it does. If you listen to the things, it doesn't sound the same way that some people think that they would be. Anyways, some of the stories of thunder and lightning are also folk tales of the Americas. Like the Native Americans, they have lightning gods and spirits, and such as the Pawnee, and there's some plains and western tribes, the Cherokee, the Sioux. Anyways, also there's Native American legends about lightning itself, like the White Owl, the story of a hero who was saved from which lightning powers and the Thunder Brothers. There's also one called the Twin Brothers, probably lightning and thunder. The brothers who became lightning and thunder. And it's a legend about 2 twin heroes. And then lightning in religion. And this is from Wikipedia. And lightning in cultures have been viewed as part of deities or of deities themselves. And there's a thing that happens that, in a sense, that polytheistic peoples kind of in general have many cultures, in a sense, that postulate thunder gods or storm gods. And the personification is force or source of these thunder and lightning are considered to be part of this. A lightning god does not have a typical depiction and will vary based on its specific culture. Many cultures, though, the thunder god is frequently known as the chief or king of the gods, and such as in India with Hinduism, or like Zeus in Greek mythology, or Peruvian ancient Slavic religion, or a close relation of Thor and Odin in the Norse mythology. This is also true of Shango in the Yoruba religion of Africa, and such as Santeria that you can find in Cuba and Puerto Rico and in the United States. Anyways, there's Combini, I can't pronounce it right, in Brazil. Anyways, in Greek mythology and the Alethean, I'm probably spelling that wrong, fields is the final resting place of the soul of the heroic and the virtuous, and involved the destination or place of persons struck by lightning. So in that sense, the person being struck by lightning would have been seen as a positive and not a negative. This could be a reference to Zeus, the god of lightning. So lightning struck could be saying a person was in a sense blessed by being struck by Zeus's lightning, or that they were fortunate. So and it goes back to the same thinking that people that think that religion happened because we're scared of lightning. Here's one instance where, in a sense, Zeus, striking someone would be a positive. And then from the National Lighting Safety Institute, I'll read that. So there is in a sense, earlier times when lightning was seen as magic, fire from the sky, which humans captured and used it to keep warm at night. It kept the savage animals away. As primitive humans sought out answers in the natural world, lighting became a part of their superstitions as well, and then their myths, and then early religions. Early Greeks believed that lightning was a weapon of Zeus. Thunderbolts were, in a sense, invented by Athena, the goddess of wisdom. Since lightning was the manifestation of the gods, any spot struck by lightning was regarded as sacred. Greek and Roman temples were often erected on these type of sites, where the gods were worshipped in an attempt to appease them. In the pantheistic Hindu religion, Indra was the god of heaven, lightning, rain, storms, and thunders. And Mithras used the thunderbolts as weapons. The Navajo Indians hold that lightning has a great power in the healing rituals. Once again, that lightning is not negative. Sand paintings show lightning bolts as a wink in the thunderbird's eye. Lightning and a thunderbird, to me, also is, in a sense, in sky burial, would be the animal that actually takes you, in a sense, up into heaven or to become a star, part of your clan up there. Anyway, so lightning is associated also with the wind and rain and crop growth. So it was not, like I said, seen directly as a negative. And there's also in Africa a bird god, in the sense that it is lightning, and it's used by the Bantu tribesmen in Africa. Anyways, even today there are medicine men or shamans who go out in storms and bid the lightning to strike far away. Scandinavian mythologies allude to Thor, of course, and thunder, who was the foe of all demons. Once again, positive. Thor tossed lightning bolts at his enemies, Thor also gave us Thursday. The Muslims also attributed lightning and thunder to their God. The Quran says, "He it is who showeth you lightning and launches the thunderbolts." Early superstitions were observed as, in a sense, cause and effect. They thought they saw something and they assumed that what they thought was the effect or the cause, misinterpreting them. Which is now, in a sense, would be understood in the science, mind is, not reasonable. And so, and Socrates even said that not Zeus up there, it is a vortex of air. Genghis Khan forbid his subjects from washing garments or bathing in running water during a storm. And a Greek philosopher in 2600 rubbed a piece of amber with a dry cloth and noticed that it could, or that it would then attract feathers and straw. And understanding religion, then, to me is more than just assuming that because these people were primitive, that means that they're ignorant, that they were not, in a sense, approaching a life in a way that was what we would consider to be intelligent. So I believe they were trying to be intelligent, and I think that they definitely were superstitious. But I think that we need to give them more credit than I think that we tend to. So understanding, in a sense, my thoughts on religion's progression, it starts in animism, which is a belief in a perceived spirit world. It's possibly by at least 100,000 years ago, and to me, it's a primal stage of early religion. And then there's totemism, a belief that these perceived spirits could be managed with, in a sense, created physical expressions. Possibly this is done by about 50,000 years ago. I see it more of a progressed stage of early religion. And then there's shamanism, a belief that some special person can commune with these perceived spirits on the behalf of others by way of rituals. It also may use, like totemism, may use created physical expressions. And then paganism, which is an early form of nature-based religion. And to me, it's mainly like an evolved form of shamanism with the addition of the concrete, in a sense, gods. And then to me, institutional religion or organized religion. What do we have today is a social, institution with official dogmas, and usually in a set of hierarchical, bureaucratic structures that contain strict rules and practices, demanding and dominating the believer's life. And so I'll go ahead and stop it. Thank you for listening, and remember, no, religion or gods were not created due to fear of lightning.